5 short hair mistakes that age you. It started with a decision, a quiet one. The kind you make in a chair, staring at your reflection under 2 bright lights. You told the stylist, "Let's go short." And maybe you were nervous, just a little, but also relieved. Because short hair felt like freedom. No more hiding behind layers. No more fuss. Just you, seen. And when it was done, you looked in the mirror and thought, yes, this feels fresh. This feels me. But weeks passed, then months, and slowly, something shifted. Not all at once, not in a dramatic, "what have I done" kind of way. Just a series of moments. A shadow on your cheekbones that didn't used to be there. A photo where your hair looked still. A tilt of the head that no longer felt playful, just stiff. You didn't change the cut, but something changed in how it met you. Because short hair can be powerful, liberating even, but it can also become a kind of quiet armor. And like any armor, it can start to weigh you down. Today, we're looking at 5 short hair choices that may be working against you. Not because they're bad cuts, but because they stopped matching the woman you are now. And the truth is, it's not always about changing the length. Sometimes, it's about changing the relationship you have with your hair. So let's step into that reflection. Not to find something wrong, but to make space for something more honest. And while we're here, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from? So many women from so many lives find each other in moments like this. If you feel like sharing, I'm listening. Mistake 1. Choosing the wrong parting for your features. It sounds harmless. Where do you usually part your hair? A casual question at the salon. One you've probably answered the same way for years. Left, right, always the middle. And that's where the trouble quietly begins. Because your parting, the literal line that splits your hair, does more than divide. It defines. It affects how your face is framed, how volume falls, and even how age shows up. The mistake many women make isn't choosing the wrong cut. It's choosing the wrong line. When the parting doesn't flatter your current features, it can actually emphasize everything you'd rather soften. Flatness at the crown, asymmetry in the jaw, softening of the cheeks. For example, a deep side part might have worked beautifully when your hair was thicker and your face more angular. But now, it can drag one side down, making your expression feel tired even when you're not. Or that center part that felt elegant for decades. Now it slices your face in half, pulling attention to every fine line. This isn't about hiding age. It's about redirecting the eye. Sometimes all it takes is shifting your part by half an inch, trying a soft diagonal instead of a razor straight line, letting your natural growth pattern lead instead of fighting it. One woman told me she switched her part after 40 years just to try. And in a single haircut, her face opened up. Her brows lifted, her jawline softened. She said, "I didn't realize how hard I was working against my own hair." So here's the invitation. Stand in the mirror, tilt your head, see what happens when the part moves just a little. You might find your hair hasn't been aging you. It's just been lining up in the wrong place. Mistake 2. Overlayering thin hair. Layers are supposed to add volume, right? It's the advice we've been given for decades. Add layers to lift. Layers give body. Layers make short hair less severe. But here's the quiet trap. When your hair starts thinning, especially at the crown or temples, too many layers don't lift. They collapse. Instead of adding shape, they create a stringy, uneven texture. The top flattens, the ends scatter, and the whole cut feels like it's trying to hold itself together with invisible threads. This is especially tricky for short styles. Why? Because there's less hair to begin with. so every layer matters more. One wrong snip, and you're left with thin sheets of hair clinging to the sides of your face, exaggerating the very volume you were hoping to fake. It's not that layering is bad. It's that overlayering fine hair without intention is like building a house without walls. Everything looks busy, but nothing feels solid. So what's the shift? Ask for internal structure. Minimal layering that supports the cut, not overtakes it. You want shape, not chaos. A soft undercut underneath to remove bulk where needed. Some hidden layering to prevent triangle shapes. But always with the goal of creating flow, not fragments. This works especially well for women with soft, feathery texture or salt and pepper tones where contrast makes thinness more noticeable. You might think, but I need volume. Yes, but volume comes from smart architecture, not just shorter pieces. Some women told me they felt like their cut finally held together once they stopped layering everywhere. It stopped looking like a fix and started feeling like a choice. Because structure, when done right, doesn't flatten, it holds you up. Mistake 3. Copying a cut that worked on someone else's face. It's easy to fall in love with a photo, a celebrity, a friend, even a stranger in the waiting room with a perfect choppy pixie or a swinging silver bob. You think, that's it. That's the one. So you bring it in, show your stylist, and you leave the salon with the exact same cut. Except something's off. You don't look like her. You don't feel like her. And worse, suddenly, the haircut feels like it's wearing you. That's the twist. It's not that the cut is wrong. It's that it was built for someone else's canvas. Face shape matters. But so does bones. So when you copy someone else's shortcut without tailoring, it can have the opposite effect. What looked fresh on her looks severe on you. What looked soft on her looks flat on you. It's not about comparison. It's about context. Even a half-inch tweak can change everything. Raising the back slightly, opening space around the temples, angling the line so it moves with your face. One woman told me she spent years chasing Helen Mirren's cut until a stylist finally said, "Your cheekbones sit lower. Let's build around that." She didn't change much, but suddenly, the haircut fit. Not like a costume, like a second skin. So the next time you fall in love with a photo, don't copy it. Translate it. Let it inspire the idea, not dictate the execution. Because the goal isn't to look like someone else. It's to look like you, with clarity. Mistake 4. Skipping maintenance because it's just short hair. There's a myth that short hair is easy. That once you go short, the upkeep disappears. No more trims, no more fuss, no more appointments. But the truth, short hair, especially after 60, needs care. Not constant care, but intentional care. And one of the sneakiest ways shortcuts age us is when we let them grow out without attention. What once looked edgy becomes uneven. What once framed the face now closes it in. The clean neckline, now fuzzy. The fringe, suddenly drooping into the eyes and flattening everything beneath it. This isn't about perfection. It's about precision. Short hair exposes everything. The shape of the scalp, the movement of growth, the way gravity pulls on each strand. So when we delay trims by months, telling ourselves it's fine, it still looks okay, we slowly move away from intention and into default. Here's the quiet fix. Don't wait for it to look bad. Book your maintenance trim, not to change your cut, but to keep it alive. Every 6 to 8 weeks, even a soft reshape can make all the difference. You're not getting a new look. You're protecting the one that already works. And if you've ever left a salon thinking, that wasn't a big change, but suddenly your jawline looked clearer, your eyes more open, that's the power of small maintenance. One woman said, "I don't cut my hair to look younger. I cut it to feel awake again." And maybe that's all it takes, a quiet act of upkeep that reminds you you're worth the effort. Because short hair, like anything close to the face, sets a tone. And the more cared for it looks, the more cared for you feel. A premium haircut, choosing styles that fight who you've become. Some cuts look sharp, tidy, practical. They say, "I'm in control." And for a long time, that's exactly what we wanted. But there comes a point when the haircut we once wore with pride starts feeling like a version of ourselves we've quietly outgrown. Maybe it's too severe now. Maybe it was chosen when life required edges, and now what you crave is curve. Maybe it came from a place of efficiency, when now you're seeking softness. This is the final mistake, choosing short hair that reflects who you were, instead of supporting who you are becoming. It's subtle, but it shows up in little ways. That angled bob that once felt empowering, now feels rigid. That ultra-clean crop you wore through your working years, now feels like it's still performing, even when you've stopped. And here's the shift. Short hair doesn't need to make a statement anymore. It just needs to feel like home. This is where movement matters. Where shape isn't about control, but ease. Where structure supports your expression instead of managing it. You don't need to soften everything, but maybe soften enough to let your current self through. A woman I once spoke to had worn the same close-cropped style since her 50s. Efficient, minimal, neat. But now at 67, she felt invisible in it. Her stylist gave her just a hint of lift at the crown, a softened fringe, a bit of air around the ears. No one noticed the haircut had changed, but she did. She said it finally stopped reminding her of who she used to be and started honoring who she'd become. Because sometimes the most flattering change isn't radical. It's simply relevant. You didn't make a mistake by going short. You made a choice to be lighter, freer, to let yourself be seen, not hidden. And maybe in the beginning, it felt exactly right. But time moves, so do we. And hair, especially short hair, has a way of showing us when we've outgrown an old idea of ourselves. That doesn't mean your cut is wrong. It just means it's time to meet it again. Not with judgment, not with urgency, but with honesty. Because this stage of life isn't about being done. It's about being true. And sometimes the smallest adjustments, a shifted part, a cleaner line, a lighter finish, can return you to yourself in ways you didn't realize you'd missed. Not to look younger, but to feel aligned again. With your face, your pace, your presence. You don't have to change everything. You just have to stop pretending the old version still fits. And when you do, when your haircut catches up to the woman you've quietly become, you'll know. Not because anyone compliments you, but because you'll glance in the mirror and simply think, yes, that's me.